Hello everybody, welcome back. My name is Noob with Honor, also known as William. And today I want to explain how my Darklord decks is shaped to be and how it works on a deck. On a battle, I'm sorry for the mistake on my part. So yeah. First of all, I want to go by ranking of the cards. So I'm going to go over the normal cards first, and then I'll talk about the rares, super rare, and then we'll get to the ultra rares, which you can see are like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 cards probably, I don't remember. Right like that. But the most cards you're gonna need for this deck are mostly SR cards, because I'll explain that when I get to it. But first we'll start with the normal card called Darklord Ukobak. We run two of these cards because by the effect of this card, if this card is normal summoned or special summoned, you can send one Darklord card from your deck to the graveyard. You can only use this effect once per turn, but that's the time that I use. It has to be any Darklord card. That's where I go in and send probably Darklord Uprising, or I don't know, maybe Darklord Rebellion, but we'll get to those cards in a few. The second normal cards we're going to be using is Capricious Darklord. During the main phase quick effect, you can activate this effect, tribute summon one fairy monster face up. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can make all your monsters your opponent currently controls with 500 attack for each free monster on the field until the end of this turn. Okay, so this card is mostly used for defense. Like you're in the defensive end of an attack. They destroy this card. Most of the time, this card is gonna get destroyed on defense position. Probably not. Every time I use it, I send it voluntarily from my hand to the graveyard. Since this effect, I can activate it no matter when. She's pretty good. She gets destroyed. Let's say that you have, for example, Iksha, an attack position, and your opponent sends a 2,600 attack monster to the field. That's a hypothetical. You activate her effect in the graveyard, and that monster goes to 2,100 attack. So Iksha wins. The third normal card we're going to be using is called Polymerization. If at this point of the Yu-gi-Oh lifespan you don't know what polymerization does, I'll explain it to you. You can fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion materials. That means if I want to get Darklord out, which is most of the times I will go for that card, I could use any card that I want to summon him that are dark. I have dark fairies here, but I have one light fairy, which I will get to her in a few. So I use polymerization to summon Darklord most of the time. The fourth card I'm going to right now is Darklord Descent. You can pay half your life points special summoning up to 2 Darklord monsters from your graveyard in defense position with the same level as one face-up monster your opponent controls. I rarely use this card because I'm rarely fighting people that are using level 12s. They're probably always using level 8 monsters or level 9. Never above that. And if I do get lucky that I'll probably get to pay my half my life points and get a level 10 monster from my graveyard, I probably would summon 2 Ikshas, since when she comes back, I can use her effect. The fifth and final normal card that I use is Darklord Uprising. I can send one Darklord monster from my hand or face up in the field. I destroy that card. Then I choose a fusion monster, which it has to be either first Darklord or Mr. Predaplant Triprover Tourism. I don't know how to say that name, I'm sorry. And I can fusion summon her, obviously using the 3 fusion materials that I have to use. This is where one of the effects comes in handy. Pretty soon I'll get to it. First rare card that I'm using is Indulge Darklord. If this card is normal or special summon, you can take 2 Darklord monsters from your hand or deck with different levels except Indulge Darklord. Special summon one of them to your opponent's field in defense position and add the other to your hands. Also, you cannot activate monster effects for the rest of this turn except fairy monsters. You can only use this effect of Indulge Darklord once per turn. I use her mostly since I have to summon on your field. I would probably give you a trash unit like you go back at that point, right? So I use her to give you a Nuka back or give you another one of her and then another Indulge Darklord. I mean, no, one Capricious Darklord. I choose in between Yuko back and Capricious just because Capricious doesn't have an attack and Indulge and Yuko back can't do 700 attack to none of the monsters on my field. So I mostly use her to probably get. I probably pick Morningstar or Eggshell just because of their effects, which I will get to them when I'm on them. My second rare is Darklord Serato. If you have 4 or more dark monsters with different names in your graveyard, you can tribute summon this card by tributing one dark monster. You can send one dark monster from your hand to the graveyard, destroy all of your monsters. All monsters your opponent controls once per turn. During the end phase, if this effect was activated this turn, destroy this card. He's a one-turn pony. Let's be honest. You would probably summon him using the effect of another Dark Lord, which we'll get to. You summon him, you always gotta keep that dark monster in your hand or in your graveyard. Why in your graveyard, you would ask? Because you can use Eggshell's effect to bring them back and destroy them. The next rare card that I'm using, another monster, is Darklord Tezcatlipoca. If a Darklord monster you control will be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can discard this card instead. During either player's turn, you can pay 1,000 life points, then target one Darklord spell trap card in your graveyard, apply that target's effect, then shuffle that target into the deck. You can only use this effect of Darklord Tezcatlipoca once per turn. You can only special summon Darklord Tez once per turn. This card, I've used him to keep other special monsters, let's put it that way, from getting destroyed. He's actually pretty interesting to use. I use one of him. Why? Because mainly when you build Lucifer, Mr. Morningstar's deck, or the first Darklords deck, however you want to call it, when you build this deck, you have 3 of them. But you will be wasting space for other cards that you could use, right? Okay, so the 4th rare card that we're going to use is Darklord Contact. Special summon one Darklord monster from your graveyard in defense position. You can only activate one Darklord Contact per turn, but you can actually play around this, and I'll explain to you, and I'll tell you how you can do this. So yeah, it basically does what it says. The only monster that you can't special summon from the graveyard is Mr. Morningstar. I don't quite know correctly because I never use him for like battle. I almost use him every time for special summoning. So in this position, I would summon, if I have an Eggshell of one of my 3 Eggshells in the graveyard, I would use this card, target her, and then I'll explain her effect, how you can play around this card, because this has only one Darklord Contact per turn, but you can actually play around it. My 5th card that is a rare is the Cauldron of the Old Man. When this card is activated, place 1 counter on it once per turn. During your standby phase, place 1 counter on this card once per turn. You can activate one of these effects. Either gain 500 life points for each counter on this card, or inflict 300 damage to your opponent for each counter on this card. I run 2 of these, just like I run 3 Darklord Contacts. I run 2 of these because this deck is mostly every monster effect that you activate, it's you sacrificing your life points. So I use this card. I have 2 of them, because if you have 2 of them in the field, you can use an effect. You're wasting 1,000 life points first turn. Let's say first turn. You have 2 of these cards in your spell card zone. You activate both the first effects. You get 1,000 life points back. You wasted 1,000, but you still gained 1,000 back. This card is pretty freaking cheap to use on competitive duels. I've been using it in ranked and nobody has an answer for it because I can defend this card with other cards. So, let's go to number 6. 2 Dark Lord Enchantment. I can send 1 Dark Lord monster from my hand or face-up field to the graveyard, and I can take control of 1 face-up monster you control in this battle. You can only activate it once per turn. Obviously, every card in this deck is mostly going to be used for one use per turn. But let's say I'm playing against a deck where you need 2 level 4 monsters, 3 level 4 monsters, and I can take 1 away because you already summoned 1. That way you can't synchro or you can't XYZ summon a monster because I took 1 of yours and it's mine for the rest of that turn. This is something that I mostly use for defense only because I played with a ton. When I say a ton, I mean a ton of people that like to summon more than 5 times. I should probably run the Meteor or Max C for every special summon you do. I get a card, but I don't because I actually count on my deck. So yeah, that's what this card does. I run 2 Sanctified Dark Lords. I can send 1 Dark Lord monster from my hand or face up in the field. I can negate the effect of their monsters. This card is actually super good. I probably don't use it a lot in duels because I probably send it to a graveyard, and with a certain monster's effect I activate it and I can use it, negate your effect, and if I have 2 of that monster, which I'll get to in a few, I can activate twice because I'll probably get rid of both cards. So I can negate 2 of your effects per turn if I have the correct monster on the field. Now I have a Synchro Summon Stardust Charge Warrior. When this card is Synchro Summon, you can draw 1 card. You can only use this effect of Stardust Charge Warrior once per turn. This card can attack all special summon monster your opponent controls once each. I have him in my deck, but I can promise you I've never used this card. So moving up to the SR super rares, I have Red Time Revive Emitter. This card is in your hand or graveyard. You can target 1 face-up monster on the field, on each field, change them to face down defense position, and if you do, special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use this effect of Red Time Reviver Emitter once per turn. I've used her. I think I've used her twice. The two cards that I have of her. I used to get against my battle, my duel, however you guys want to call it, against Mr. Mot Ricardo Borrelli. And I used her in my last video with, I don't think I used her. I'm sorry, I'm lying. But if I did, then I used it against a Red Master of the Cards. But yeah, I use her depending on the situation, depending on the duel, and depending on the person that I'm fighting. Another super rare, we have Darklords Deck. You can discard this card and target 1 Darklord card, then target 1 Darklord card in your graveyard, add it to your hand. The actual effect is during other player's turn, you can pay 1,000 light points and target 1 Darklord spell or trap card in your graveyard, apply that target effect. It's another card that lets me use effects from the graveyard. It's amazing. Then we have Darklords Deck, another super rare. I only use 1 of these. You can discard 2 other Darklord cards, special summon this card from your hand. Quick effect, you can pay 1,000 life points and target 1 Darklord spell / or trap card in your graveyard, apply that target effect and shuffle that target into the deck. You can only use this effect of Darklords Deck once per turn. You can only special summon Darklords Deck once per turn. That's why I run 1, but I probably never use this effect. I probably summon him, pay it, bring a normal card called Darklord Uprising back or another spell card, and just go from there. Now we move on to my most OP, I think it's one of my most OP cards, Mrs. Darklord Eggshell. I brought 3 of these. I can discard this card and 1 Darklord card, draw 2 cards, and her quick effect is that I can pay 1,000 life points, then target 1 Darklord spell / trap in your graveyard, apply that target's effect. This card is amazing. Let me just say this. that thing of you banishing her, I mean, if you sending her to the graveyard with another Dark Lord card, means that if I have her in my hand and I have my God hand that happens to be on Mutt's Mr. Ricardo Borales Duel, I can send her and Dark Lord Uprising. This is my favorite play to do. I send her and Dark Lord Uprising. I'll probably get Dark Lord Contact to my hand. I can then use Dark Lord Contact, summon Ixchel back. If I have 2 monsters in my hand and 1 in the field, I can activate her effect, pay the 1,000 life points, and use the effect of Dark Lord Uprising, making me be able to special summon Mr. the First Dark Lord. But I'll get to him in a few. Then we have Dark Lord Morningstar. Cannot be special summoned and discard distributed summon. You can special summon Dark Lord monster from your hand and or deck up to the number of effect monster your opponent controls. Where you control another Dark Lord monster, your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. Once per turn, you can send cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard, equal to the number of Dark Lord monster on the field, and if you do, gain 500 life points for each Dark Lord card sent to the graveyard by this effect. This guy, I've used him on ranked. Yes, I've used him on ranked, if I do remember correctly. He is such a gold card. Let's say I have him and Ixchel on the field. I can be paying 1,000 life points and be sending monsters from my hand to the graveyard. And I'll be getting life points. And if I have him comboed with Mr. Cauldron of the Old Man with my 2 cards that are amazing, I will get infinite life points every turn unless you destroy this monster by battle and you destroy my Cauldron of the Old Man with a target or effect. The next super rare I run 3 of these is the Banishment of the Dark Lords. I can add 1 Dark Lord card from my deck to my hand except another Banishment of the Dark Lords. I can only activate 1 Banishment of the Dark Lords per turn. This card, I would probably use it to get Ixchel, probably. If I get this card first turn, I would definitely use it to get Ixchel. Send Ixchel with Dark Lord Uprising to the graveyard, or send Ixchel with another monster to the graveyard, and probably grab Dark Lord Contact and summon Dark Lord Ixchel, so I can use the effect of Dark Lord Contact again and summon my other monster. Next super rare is Fusion. I run 1 of these. I could probably run another one, but I don't because I like to play it safe. During my first standby phase, I activate this card. Second turn, I choose tribute monsters. I can choose from any monster that I have. I would mostly choose Mr. Dark Lord Morningstar, Ixchel, and let's just mention another one. I will use Superbia. Why would I choose Morningstar out of nowhere, right? Let me tell you why. If I choose Morningstar, once I summon the first Dark Lord, I can destroy all the cards on your side of the field. That's probably the best chance that I got. And on my 3rd turn, if I make it to a 3rd turn, then I get my first Dark Lord. Once per turn, this is when it's Valhalla, Hall of the Fallen. I use 1 of these. Once per turn, you can special summon 1 free monster from your hand. You must control no monsters to activate and to resolve this effect. Let's say that I'm in a bad position where I only have Dark Lord Morningstar, Ixchel, and Mr. Cerato in my hand. I can put Valhalla Hall of the Fallen down on the field, activate its effect, and summon 1 of them without tributing. Next SR card is I have run 2 of these, Dark Lord Rebellion. I can send 1 Dark Lord monster from my hand or face up in the field to the graveyard and destroy 1 card. This effect is amazing. It saves me a ton. SR Predaplant Trifobaritism. I don't know how to say his name. I run 2 of them. I don't use their effects because the only Predaplant that I have is Mr. Predaplant Berte Anaconda. Scarlet Red Dragon Archetype, I think is the name of this card. Archfiend. 1 tuner plus 1 non-tuner monster. This card name is gone Red Dragon Archfiend while it's on the field or in the graveyard. Once per turn, you can destroy as many special summon effect monsters on the field as possible with attack less than equal to this card. It's pretty rare that you're gonna run a deck with higher monsters than this card, but I don't use them that much. Then we have number 40 Gimmick Puppet. I don't use him at all. I'm sorry, he's in the deck, but I don't use him. I use the Synchro Monster, Condemned Darklord. I have run 3 of her. 2 Fairy Monster, you contribute summon Fairy Monster. They require 2 tributes by banishing 2 monsters from your graveyard instead of tributing. It is still treated as a tribute summon. You can discard 1 card, take 1 Darkler monster from your deck, and either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. You can only use this effect of Condemned Darklord once per turn. Once per turn during your end phase, gain 500 life points for each Fairy monster on the field. Her effect, I would probably use it every time that I use it to send Mr. Darklord Uprising card to the graveyard, and next turn probably summon Mr. Darklord. Now, ultra rare cards. Let's dive into it. I have 1 card of Archlord Christia. It's an AUR. If you have exactly 4 Fairy monsters in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. If summon this card this way, target 1 Fairy monster in your graveyard, add that target to your hand. Neither player can special summon. If this face-up card would be sent to the graveyard from the field, place it on the top deck instead. This also, I'm sorry. This card is amazing because let's say I get Darklord out. I could use Darklord effect to summon 1 monster. Which monster would I summon? I can summon her. I think I can summon with. I know I'm gonna get to this effect later, but I think I can summon either from my deck or graveyard. From my deck and hand. It's a win-win for me. Secondary Darklord Superbia is another UR card that I run. When this card is special summoned from the graveyard, you can target 1 Fairy monster in your graveyard, select Darklord Superbia, special summon that target. I used to run 2 of these, but I think it was a waste of space. I'm gonna be completely honest. For certain reasons, I don't use them. I prefer to have 1 because that way I could use it to bring back Ixchel or another Darklord that I could use as tribute summon. Okay, next card that I have is a UR. It's Raigeki. I can destroy all your monsters on your field. And Monster Reborn, just to be childish and bring back either Ixchel, the first Darklord, or Morningstar. Now, my deck's ultra rares are the first Darklord, 3 Dark Fairy monsters. Your opponent cannot target Fairy monster you control with card effects. You can only use 1 of the following effects for the first Darklord per turn, and only once that turn. And this card is fusion summon using Blackbro Morningstar, which is this fine stirrup here. I can destroy all the cards on your side of the field. During the main phase, you can pay 1,000 life points, special summon 1 Fairy monster from your hand, or graveyard in defense. Let's be honest, this is a quick effect. I can use it in your turn or in my turn, and you can't stop it with card effects. So, kind of screwed there. Then I will have number 38, Hope Harbinger. I've never used him. Then we have the White Arsenal, Zeus. We have Predaplant, Verte Anaconda. His effect, I can explain it from the top of my head. I pay 2,000 life points, and I can use the effect of polymerization. Think Darklord Uprising, and I forgot, and Future Fusion. I can use 1 of those effects by paying 2,000 life points, and I gotta send that card to the graveyard, which means I will probably be able to use it again if I get Ixchel. So I can fusion summon Mr. the First Darklord. Then last but not least, we have Apollo Yuza, Bow of the Goddess. I've never used this card. It's on my deck, but I've never used it. So I'm gonna stop blabbering now. You guys saw what's on my deck. I'm not hiding anything from you guys. Let's get into some games, shall we?
inspired by thirst, I'm inspired by worth. I desire your worst, so you can just hide while I work. I ain't tired, you first. I'll write a second, third verse about the lies you go disperse. You never did shit, I know it hurts. Something deep inside won't let me